Detachment is not distance, it is freedom. One of the biggest misconceptions about Stoicism is that it teaches you to become emotionless, cold, robotic. Nothing could be further from the truth. The Stoics loved deeply. They grieved. They celebrated. They felt everything. But they were not controlled by their feelings. There is a profound difference between feeling an emotion and being enslaved by it. You can feel hurt without letting hurt make your decisions. You can feel fear without letting fear stop you. You can feel desire without letting desire destroy your peace. You can feel love without letting love become possession. This is what Stoic detachment actually means. Not that you feel nothing, but that your feelings move through you like weather, real, powerful, respected, but not permanent residents. You experience them. You don't become them. And in that space between stimulus and response, that small, sacred space, lies your freedom. Every human being has access to that space. Most people just don't know it's there. The practice, how to actually do this. This is where we move from philosophy to real life. Because ideas are only as valuable as the transformation they create. So how do you actually practice caring less about the right things? Here is what the Stoics practiced. Here is what works. Every morning before the world gets its hands on you, sit quietly for 5 minutes. Ask yourself, what is within my control today? What is not? Make that separation clearly in your mind. Then make a commitment. I will pour my energy only into what is mine. Everything else I release. Throughout the day, when something disturbs your peace, and things will, pause before you react. Ask, is this within my control? If yes, act. If no, release. This sounds simple. It is not easy. Your mind will fight you. Your ego will insist that everything matters. That every slight deserves a response. That every opinion deserves your attention. This is the work. Returning again and again to the question. Is this worth my peace? And slowly, not overnight but steadily, you will build a new relationship with the world around you. One based not on reaction, but on intention. Not on fear, but on choice. Not on seeking approval, but on living by your own values. What you stop tolerating. When you start practicing this philosophy consistently, something powerful begins to happen. Your tolerance for certain things disappears completely. You stop tolerating conversations that drain your energy without adding anything to your life. You stop tolerating relationships where you are constantly performing for someone else's comfort while neglecting your own. You stop tolerating the habit of comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's, chapter 20. You stop tolerating the inner critic who replays your worst moments on a loop. You stop tolerating the idea that your worth is something that needs to be earned through constant performance and achievement. And as those tolerances disappear, something extraordinary fills the space they leave behind. Clarity. Energy. Genuine happiness. Not the happiness that depends on everything going right. The happiness that exists regardless of what is happening around you. The Stoics called this eudaimonia. Flourishing. A life lived in alignment with your deepest values. It doesn't come from outside. It was always inside. It was just buried under everything you were carrying that was never yours to carry. The people who drain your energy. We need to talk about people. Because this is where most people struggle the most. You can practice Stoicism perfectly in solitude. But then you encounter people, and suddenly everything gets complicated. The colleague who subtly undermines you. The family member who always has a criticism ready. The friend who leaves you feeling worse every time you talk. The stranger on the internet whose opinion somehow keeps you up at night. Here is the Stoic truth about difficult people. Every person you encounter is doing their absolute best with the level of awareness they currently have. That doesn't mean their behavior is acceptable. That doesn't mean you have to tolerate it. It means you don't have to take it personally. Their anger is not about you. Their judgment is not about you. Their negativity is not about you. It is entirely and completely about where they are in their own journey. You are simply the nearest available surface for something they haven't worked out inside themselves yet. When you truly internalize this, When you feel it not just intellectually but in your bones, something shifts. The sting disappears. You can see the person clearly. You can respond thoughtfully. You can even have compassion for them. Without absorbing their energy. Without carrying their wounds. Without letting their chaos become yours. This is one of the most liberating realizations a human being can have. Other people's darkness is not your responsibility to carry. Only your own inner work is yours. The freedom of impermanence. Here is another Stoic truth that will shake you if you let it. Nothing lasts. Not the good things. Not the bad things. Not the praise. Not the criticism. Not the success. Not the failure. Nothing lasts. And when you truly accept this, when you stop resisting the fundamental impermanence of everything, the unnecessary suffering dissolves. The embarrassing moment you've been replaying for years? Nobody remembers it but you. The opinion someone formed of you a decade ago? They've changed completely since then, and so have you. The failure that felt like the end of the world? It became part of your story. It built something in you that success never could. Marcus Aurelius meditated constantly on impermanence. He would look at things he loved and remind himself, this too will pass. Not as a way to create sadness, but as a way to stay free. When you know something is temporary, you can enjoy it fully without clinging to it desperately. When you know a painful thing is temporary, you can endure it with grace without being destroyed by it. Impermanence is not your enemy. It is one of the most generous truths the universe offers you. Everything passes. Which means this pain passes too. Rebuilding your identity. Here is what most people don't realize when they begin this journey. Caring less about the wrong things doesn't create emptiness. It creates space. Space for you to figure out who you actually are, outside of other people's definitions of you. Because here is the uncomfortable question. Who are you when nobody is watching? Who are you when there is no performance required? Who are you when there is no one to impress, no image to maintain, no reputation to protect? That person. The one who shows up in those quiet moments. That is the real you. And most people are so afraid of meeting that person that they keep themselves permanently distracted. Permanently performing. Permanently busy. Because what if that person isn't enough? Here is what the Stoics would say. You were enough before the world told you otherwise. Your worth is not a score on a scoreboard. It is not a number of followers. It is not a salary figure. It is not an opinion poll. It is intrinsic. Permanent. Inalienable. Nobody gave it to you. Which means nobody can take it away. The work, the real work, is remembering that. Returning to it. Defending it from the 1,000 daily voices that try to convince you otherwise. The gift of not needing approval. There is a version of you that doesn't need anyone's permission to live fully. That doesn't wait for validation before pursuing a dream. That doesn't require applause before feeling proud of your effort. That doesn't shrink in rooms where you feel judged. That doesn't silence your truth because someone might not like it. That version of you is not a fantasy. That is your natural state, before the world covered it with conditions and requirements and expectations. The Stoics believed that virtue, living in alignment with your deepest values, was the only thing that could never be taken from you. Not wealth. That can disappear overnight. Not reputation. That can be destroyed by a single rumor. Not health. That can change in an instant. But virtue. Character. Who you choose to be regardless of what happens to you. That is yours forever. And when you build your identity on that foundation, when your sense of self comes from your values rather than from other people's opinions, you become genuinely, profoundly free. You stop needing approval because you are already giving yourself the only approval that was ever real. The long game. I want to be honest with you. This is not a one-time decision. This is a daily practice. A lifelong commitment. There will be days when you slide back. When someone says something and the old wounds open. When comparison creeps in. When the approval seeking starts again. That is not failure. That is being human. The Stoics didn't promise perfection. They promised progress. Every time you catch yourself and return to these principles, you are winning. Every time you pause before reacting, you are winning. Every time you choose your peace over someone else's opinion, you are winning. And the accumulation of those small wins, over days and months and years, creates a life that is almost unrecognizable compared to where you began. Calmer, clearer, more purposeful, more joyful. Not because your circumstances changed. Because you changed. Closing, the invitation. So here is where we land. The less you care about opinions that were never yours to carry, the freer you become. The less you chase approval that was never the source of your worth, the more genuinely confident you become. The less you resist what cannot be controlled, the more energy you have for what actually can. This is the Stoic path. Not a path of coldness or detachment or emptiness. A path of radical, disciplined, intentional freedom. A path where your happiness is no longer hostage to circumstances, or to people, or to outcomes. A path where you wake up every morning already whole, already enough, already free. The Stoics walked this path thousands of years ago. And it is waiting for you right now. The question is not whether you are capable of this. You already are. The question is whether you are willing to begin. And if this video spoke to something in you, if something here resonated, challenged you, or opened something up, please subscribe to this channel right now. Because this is exactly what we do here every single week. We go deep. We go real. We cut through the noise and get to the truth about how to build a life that actually means something. There are thousands of channels that will tell you to wake up at 5 and grind harder. This is not that channel. This is the channel that asks the harder questions. That sits with you in the uncomfortable truths. That hands you the tools the Stoics spent lifetimes developing, and makes them real for your life right now. Subscribe. Hit the notification bell. And share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Because the ideas that changed your life have a way of changing lives when you pass them forward. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing to invest in your own peace, your own clarity, your own freedom. This work matters. And so do you.